New rules for using and flying drones commercially as well as personally were out in July this year but have finally been notified today. It is a big deal because it could possibly change the landscape of the usage of drones in India, not just the commercial use or private use, but also the manufacturing. It comes at a time when Indian assets have been at the receiving end of drone attacks in various places and comes with its own set of security risks, but also opens up the potential for usage of drones in several kinds of companies. So imagine your food now being delivered by a drone, or your next parcel from an online shopping spree being delivered by a drone. Drone taxis are something which is also being envisioned. So how do these new regulations help? And is the appetite really there for a buzzing and vibrant landscape with the usage of drones? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Smit Shah. He is Director of the Drone Federation of India. Rajan Luthra, Chairman of the FICCI Drones Committee, is with us on the show, as is Swapnik Jakampuri, co-founder and COO of Sky Air Mobility. Welcome to all of you and thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Shah, let me begin by getting your take. India has been thinking about easing up the use of drones for a while now. I think over a decade ago, the first set of drone policies were sort of formalized, if my memory serves me right, but it has never really taken off. Yes, for video shoots and etc. to some extent, but not on the scale that was imagined. Do you think this could change now?
Definitely. When we talk about drone policy, we have to start from 2014. When the DGCA brought about a blanket ban on the use of civil drones, and it was an explicit government permission that was required. So right from that time to 2018, when the first policy came in, and the very recent one, which was notified in March 2021, which was the UAS rules, have been various attempts where we tried to regulate the drones. But there's a stark difference between how we were doing it before and now. Before, we were trying to control, license, and ensure that, as much as like every aspect of the drone ecosystem is based on some permission. Now, these rules actually have taken a 180-degree opposite stand. So while there is, envision, process of a basic type certification of the drone and a pilot license and all of that, but the premise that the economic development that drones can bring in and the opening up of the sector that is required after the geospatial policy and the space sector opening up is what has been thought of, and the licenses have been brought to a minimum, which essentially is going to ensure that all the startups and the individual entrepreneurs that are looking to build drones and use it for different type of applications will be able to do it in a very easy way. And technology will be the most important area of discussion rather than policy. Policy is now set in stone, and technology and quality of the product and all will be something that the industry will focus on. So that's what this means for the industry.
Okay, so Mr. Luthra, give us an idea of where all the drones are coming from. They've eased up import of drones as well in this new set of policies, though it has to still be under the DGFT. The aim is also to manufacture drones. Do you think that there is a lot of scope for that? And will imports of drones become less? Will we see a bigger influx of drones, in fact, in the country?
Good evening, Tamanna. Thanks for having this important topic being taken up today. I think it's a landmark day for not only for the drone industry, but I think for the entire industry 4.0 and the promise that such technologies provide. Drones are known as a transformative technology. They impact multiple social and commercial areas apart from the defense applications. And they have been around for now 40 plus years. I think in India today will be a very important day when the drones have been opened up for use in the civil sector after a long wait. There were some initial attempts, but I think by and large, there was an overlying condition around security being most important factor, whereas now it has been made as a trust and self-compliance being the more important side. And a lot of potential usages have already started in the last couple of years. I think thanks to some of the exemptions that have been given by the DGCA, Various pilots have already been done. Some of the beyond visual line of sight pilots are already taking place. And I think the civil sector will see a huge explosion of these. If you look at the potential for, let's say, manufacturing, so there is a large amount of innovation happening within our academic institutions, which has got converted into more than 200 startups that are there in the country today. And I think even some of the larger companies have now started taking an active interest in the drone sector. We have given an estimate based on some ground-up exercise that Vicky had done on behalf of the Scale Committee. There is a cumulative market potential of almost 300,000 crores for the drones in the coming few years in India.
You know, what are we going to use the drones with? And in what sectors? Swapnik, talk to us about different usages that you would see, and do you really see these drone corridors which are being talked about being utilized in the days to come by various kinds of companies?
Yes, thanks for having me on. And I concur with the other panelists also. That's a very big day today, a very positive step. And coming to your question, yes, air corridors will be very vital and crucial, I think, for adoption and the drones to become a factor in different industries. For example, there is trials that is being conducted by the Telangana government for medicine from the sky, where they want to set up, routes or connections between different primary healthcare centers all across the state. And they want to use drones so that any kind of vital supplies, either it being blood, vaccine, or medicines that need to be shipped, they want to connect to drones. And establishing drone corridors will make it a lot more easier to do that, right? So you already have, and some of these medicines, say like antivenom, that needs to be supplied, or blood that needs to be sent for some emergency purposes, you don't want to sit and wait for some permissions. And if there's an already corridor established, everything is there, it becomes very simple and easy to do and very fast, and potentially will be very life-saving. And when you go to areas in maybe northeast or very hilly areas, these kind of drone corridors that are set up can be very big game changers, right? So the connectivity that it will provide for various reasons, for different purposes for the people, that can bring about the change that what is needed, not just roads, right? There might be different challenges with roads. So that's in the delivery space, but I think it's now, because of the rules being a lot more relaxed, you'll have different players coming in, and it's going to open up to scale for different players. And every industry, from security to and surveillance to the construction industry or agriculture, where I see a lot of interest that we have received for the past 1 year, even though we don't focus on agriculture purposes, but we get a lot of interest from farmers who are very keen to use drones. Right, so and they're not like big landowners or big farmers that are coming and approaching us, right? They're average, normal farmers that they are aware of it, and they want to see how it will be used, and it's being used too. So it can potentially be a game changer. And these are some of the examples I'm giving, and we're still scratching the surface. I think going forward with the new rules for R&D, it's going to go into pretty every sector, and we can use drones for a lot of areas. It's a very exciting thing right now.
Wow. Yeah, it's especially the part about ordinary farmers wanting to use drones to see what's happening with their land. Mr. Shah, what is the use case scenario right now? What is the extent to which we're using drones currently? Of course, we know the security establishment uses drones extensively. They're used for commercial shoots. So you see drone shots in a lot of entertainment content and all of that. They're very popular with weddings. But where can it go from here?
So both the public and the private sector has been using drones extensively. When we talk about the public sector, the government schemes as well as various departments, it's the Swamitva scheme, which is the largest scheme for mapping land records across the country. It's being implemented in 6.6 lakh villages, where multiple drones are going to be used to survey over a rural area. The landowners of each of these areas will then receive a property card to, sort of end the debate of them whether holding their property or not, and then using it as a means to get financial help. So from something that, basic, which is property card or land record entitlement, to PM Fasal Bima Yojana, which is another project where drones are going to be used for surveying and monitoring farms, to various applications in the private sector, which is mining sector, agriculture, both surveying as well as spraying of pesticides and herbicides in the various farms. In fact, if you see all the new highways that are being built, or the new metro projects that are coming in, or the dedicated freight corridors that are coming up, are all being surveyed and continuously monitored by drone and drone sensors. So that's the extent at which this can go. And mind you, all of these applications are just the basic ones. In just a few years, there are going to be too many companies that are going to be building, not just these basic survey drones, but something as big as a helicopter, which will be a drone taxi, in which probably me and you can sit and travel from one place to the other without any pilot on board. So that's the potential use of drone technology, including India.
I mean, that sounds fascinating. How many years out is that? Something like a drone taxi. I know the Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Sindhia, talked about drone taxis today as well. And it all sounds very sci-fi and far-fetched. But is it really that far off, Mr. Shah?
In India, we will see the first drone taxi prototype taking off in less than 12 months. It will be a prototype. It may not have passengers ferrying in, but the first prototype built by an Indian company will be less than 12 months.
Okay. Mr. Luthra, what is the kind of, use scenario you are seeing for drones right now? We've been talking about it and in very minimal terms of delivery, etc. But are you seeing more and more companies coming forward to adopt this technology? And what are the positives for them? Why are they interested in adopting this technology?
So at the last count, we had more than 120 use cases and applications in the civil sector. These are a wide variety of applications. Some of them have already been mentioned by my co-panelists, so I'll not repeat them. But at a macro level, the usage is broadly the most prominent sectors are what is called the DISHA. So D for defense, I for infrastructure, S for supply chain and retail. You have healthcare, and then finally the agriculture. Now, beyond these, in each of the industries, for example, if we take manufacturing as an example, within the manufacturing one plant, there are more than 20 odd use cases that can be taken from safety to security to compliance. I think the fact that you can have an eye in the sky that can not only, let's say, do a survey or do an audit compliance much more safely, or let's say with a much better capability and artificial intelligence being built on the drone or at the back end. These applications are now starting to take shape and be demonstrated by manufacturers as well as service providers. And I think the real opportunity here is not just the drone itself, but all the services and the data and the insights that can be delivered using drones. We have, let's say, the entire artificial intelligence being built on top of the drones, and how that can help in digitizing various processes, in delivering benefits to each and every sector that we can think about. And this is something that can be detailed out in many more forums. But I think by and large, I would really hard to find one sector that will not have an application using drones.
Let me come back to you, Swapnik, about the safety and security aspect. Of course, the rules have become much easier, but one of the reasons why the rules were tightened and, from 2014 onwards the rules were tightened was because of security concerns. And we've seen recent attacks, for example, on the Indian Air Force base in Jammu, there was a drone attack. Won't these concerns now come about in even greater force, and how will we secure ourselves?
Yeah, so I think, yes, it's always it's always a concern. It's always, how do you go ahead and stop that? And regulations are not the only way to go about preventing the acts. I think the government has realized that putting too many regulations itself is not going to help, right? So we need to have a right balance, and I think government is taking the right step and thinking in the right direction. But the way to foolproof it, or to the best way to stop it, is to work on countermeasures using technology itself. And if you see the DRDO themselves are developing technologies which are going to be anti-drone, right, in around that can be deployed in sensitive installations or areas, for national security purposes, either to the defense establishments or VIP protection of VIPs, like VVIPs. And there are a lot of Indian companies are working on that perspective. There are a lot of international companies are also trying new technologies to be used. So that's the way to go about preventing it, rather than going and adding more regulations that is just going to stymie the whole industry and cut out a lot of opportunities for the industry to grow and benefit. And I think that it's a good thing the government took a step back, looked at the bigger picture, and understood, okay, how is it that we can let the industry breathe, grow, as well as take the security concerns into perspective, so there's no demo attack again happening.
Yeah, it's yeah. The key is going to be in implementation. Probably delivery can be the first place to start it. Drone taxis could be a reality that would really ease traffic, if nothing else. But the key, as always, will be in execution of this new policy framework. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the India Development Debate this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.